Hi everyone, it's Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, the second officially in our series of Bob in America with Stars and Stripes. The first one, I guess, we couldn't speak to him because he was on a plane. The second one we spoke to him, he was in Arizona. This week we find you in...
Good afternoon from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Because you're 6 hours behind, aren't you?
I am now 6 hours behind, yes. I am in the home state of the Couhig family, and I am actually going along to see Rob and Missy later on today. But you won't hear that tonight, you will hear that on next week's show.
This is very exciting, though, because this is, in essence, the culmination of your visit.
It is, yeah. And to be here in the sort of spiritual home of the worldwide Wycombe Wanderers phenomenon, although I have to say that I have been wearing my Wycombe Wanderers. I've only been here for about the last 24 hours, and I have been wearing my Wycombe Wanderers tops. Not just one top. I have got more than one top. Don't worry, I'm not particularly smelly or anything. But so far nobody has said anything about my Wycombe Wanderers top, so I'm a bit sad.
It's just a matter of time, though.
That's what I think. Definitely, at some point, somebody who hopefully is not a Couhig is going to say something about my Wycombe Wanderers top.
I think that sounds like something you could actually set up as well. You can actually make that happen and get that recorded as well for next week too.
I will do my best to, yes. If anyone says anything, I will be there with my mobile phone ready to press the record button.
Just with a Louisiana accent, that's all we want.
Yes, okay.
Still to come, this hour we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth speaking after the game against Crewe, who of course were and still are bottom of the table. We will be hearing from former player Trevor Bunting. Absolutely, whose dad Colin Bunting has also been on the show. We're happy to speak to any Buntings, in fact. If
we are. Get your Buntings out.
And Trevor's got two sons as well, one of whom is also a goalkeeper.
Well, there you go. I'm sure that we could manage to shoehorn them into the Wycombe Wanderers show somehow.
A regular Bunting feature, I reckon. That's what we should have.
Indeed.
And also we'll be catching up with Ian Horswell, who is the chief executive of Jersey Bulls,
who are playing at Adams Park.
Next Saturday.
In case you're wondering why we're just suddenly speaking to somebody from Jersey Bulls.
Yeah, this is our series of random chief executives of other football clubs.
Indeed, yes. Next week we'll speak to the guy from Guernsey. No, not really. But yeah, really nice that actually the club are hosting Jersey Bulls.
No, absolutely. And we'll hear the connection coming up a bit later on with Ian. And, of course, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth when we spoke to him earlier on today, or in Bob's time zone, overnight.
Indeed, yes. And also after the Crewe game, of course, which I did actually manage to watch out here. And it was rather splendid. It was slightly nervy when, of course, Crewe pulled one back and you were thinking, oh, no. But actually, no, it was all fine. And that man, Lewis Wing, getting 2 goals, both of them incredibly well taken. I was particularly impressed with his first one, which he probably wasn't expecting because, of course, Crewe made a slight mistake by passing to him. And he smashed it in the back of the net.
So what are your early thoughts of Mr. Wing?
Very, very impressed so far. He's one of those unusual players. Because he's so tall, you sort of expect him to be a bit gangly and a bit sort of like clumsy. I'm probably speaking about myself here, and even maybe you, Colin.
Guilty.
But he's not like that. He's not like that at all. He's very, very coordinated. Looks really, really good. Definitely a very good find.
And Sam Vokes as well seems to really stand out in the last few games, especially.
Yeah, definitely as well. So Sam Vokes, of course, got the opener, and yeah, it's you slightly feel, and I am touching a bit of wood, or it might be Formica, I'm not quite sure. That it's all coming together. Maybe unfortunate that the results then the other day meant that actually we dropped back out of the playoffs. But but even so, we're in the right position for the right time of the season.
Because I didn't dare say this when I spoke to Gareth earlier, but I happened to see on social media there was a Twitter account who did a bit of a forecast as to how many points they thought Wycombe would get for the remainder of the season, and their forecast was 19.
Oh, okay. And did they then say that would put us safely into the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll be there.
Because it does seem a bit of a shame that the automatics seem a bit out of reach, don't they, I think?
Yeah, that is true. But fair play to Rotherham. They have sort of like pressed on, And yes, I wondered whether maybe Wigan's sort of like, the fact that Wigan at some point seemed to have about 100 games in hand over everybody else would come to backfire on them, but it doesn't really look like it is. And annoyingly, that lot up the other end of the county that aren't even really in Buckinghamshire anymore look like they're doing quite well as well.
So pressed on, they're another team, aren't they, entirely?
Yes, I think they are. Nice to see that other team that are rivals of ours from the county of Cambridgeshire. So what was that phrase? Stinking out to the bottom of the championship at the moment. That did make me smile somewhat.
Very, very good. Our show is becoming code all of a sudden. Yes, you probably know what all that means. If you're a regular follower of what was League One football, and as you say, for them now Championship football.
Yes, yeah, but maybe not for much longer.
No, absolutely. I read another comment that Wycombe could be playing Everton next season, which I thought was quite funny as well.
That would be very, very entertaining. Frank Lampard's Everton, as you have to refer to them, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Although by that stage they might not be Frank Lampard's Everton anymore.
No, indeed. No, there's anything can happen between now and then, couldn't it, really?
Well, yes, that's very true.
On so many levels.
But no, going back to the Crew game, just a decent performance. On top of the win previously as well. Just good to see that finally, we're back in that sort of winning momentum.
And Ryan Tafasoli, a bit of a concern for him initially.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Very nice to see that that he's sort of back and looking happy in the side. Be nice if we could have the chance coming back from Christmas about 12 years old, because I am very much missing that.
And Gareth, of course, named an unchanged side on Saturday, which I think is a really good sign, isn't it? That things are getting a bit settled.
Yeah, definitely. As I said last week, I do think actually we do look more settled when we play Mehmeti from the beginning. I think he prefers playing from the beginning. As I think I said last week, I always get the impression that if he comes on as a substitute, he slightly feels that he has to do everything that he'd normally do in 90 minutes in the time that he does, in the time that then he comes on. Whereas he always looks a lot more relaxed, actually, when he plays the whole 90 minutes. Definitely, I know that he came off right at the very end, by the way, against Crewe. But, definitely, we're looking like a much more settled side at the minute.
Back-to-back wins, the latest, of course, being at Crewe. Let's hear now from manager Gareth Ainsworth, who spoke to Phil after the game on his 500th game in charge. That's Gareth, not Phil.
Wow, and it was a little bit hairy in that second half because we've got nothing to lose, Crewe. They're a real dangerous animal when a team's like that and they're losing 2-1 and the bottom of the league and they need points desperately. They're going to chuck everything at you, and their centre-half started striding through and they threw a bit of caution to the wind, and that's how they got their goal back, if I'm fair. But you do leave yourself open with that, and it was a real balancing act of can we score on the counter, which eventually we did, and can we keep it tight at the back there, and I had to make one or two changes and a formation change as well, which really helped. Yeah, I'm just really pleased with the win. It's a fantastic memento for me, but more so, it's a win that gets us back in the playoffs, which is where we want to be.
2-0 up and saw the game out after what happened in February. That must have really pleased you as well.
Listen, I was up in a few games and we didn't see it out, so I was desperate to see this one out. And like I say, Crewe came at us. They've got some real good young talent with loads of energy. And so at the end there, they're still running, they're still driving forward. I think the fans are a bit harsh on them because they're a young side. They've sold some good players here. I'm not sure, they've been given too much to replace those players. So, they are a victim of probably their own success coming up because they were fantastic last season. But it just shows the gaps in football and what you need to do to survive. But back to us, I was really, really pleased. And Lewis Wing come up with what I know he can do. Jack Young getting a debut for us. I'm leaving Dominic Gape and Sully Kaikai at home, just because obviously he's been out for so long, we don't want to risk him. And Sully just squad rotation because of the strength of that bench in the second half. And they were all needed, by the way, So Chris Farino's come on and done well. Wheels, as you always does, but it was a real team performance today. I was nervous because I got one or two messages before the game that I didn't know about that were played in the team meeting by Dobbo Stop the Meeting, and Josh Hart, the analyst, put some messages on from some people in my career, and sometimes you get that balloon burst at the end. But today we inflated it a little bit more at the end. And thank you for the fans; they were giving me a brilliant reception, and thank you to the boys because they've really done me proud on what is a nice occasion for me. But I won't get one of them now till another 500. So let's see where we go.
There was a concussion sub used by Wycombe Wanderers today because Ryan Tafazoli, his final touch of the game, he didn't know much about it. I've seen it on the replay. The shot came in, it struck him on the head.
Yeah.
But a vital touch, but he's had to come off.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think they had that one moment where there was a bit of mayhem in the box, and Ryan's chucked his body in front of Daniel Agai's shot, I think, and it was a heroic bit of defending. And that's what you get from Ryan Tafazoli. He's come in and he's done us proud. He's done himself proud. We'll have to assess him. I know there's a 7-day thing. I think there's a chance he could be involved for the next game, but again, I'll put it down to medical, and we won't risk anyone. And again, I'll have to look to see if it is a concussion, but I'm not sure what the protocols are. We did really well as a team today, really well. You know, from what we did on Tuesday against Cambridge, I wanted to back that up. We score goals, Phil. We do score goals, and if we can keep this solidity about us and this passion and this work rate that the boys have got at the moment, and believe me, there's more twists and turns to come yet. You know, we have Rotherham next, and Portsmouth not long after that, with Fleetwood in between. Teams will be playing each other all right up to that final game. Top 6 would be a huge success story for this football club. I know we're in the Championship last year. I know we're a million miles away from where we were, but there's still some teams in this league who are a million miles away from us, and to be involved amongst that is just sensational for Wycombe.
Finally, 500th game, lovely moment at the end. You went across to the Wycombe fans who's travelled in big numbers today, and they were all singing your name. That must have felt very special.
Honestly, it's really special. They've been there right from day one. I had 2 players in the team today who played in that first game back at Dagenham 500 games ago, Josh Scott and Anthony Stewart, and I'm glad to say that we weren't beaten 3-0 like that first game with a bit of mayhem ensuing. We were 3-1 worthy winners today, and I can't thank the fans enough for travelling, for getting behind us. And yeah, I'll have my little moment at the end there. Cheers.
So yeah, really nice to hear from Gareth, of course, and so positive as always, and a real fantastic achievement. 500 games in charge.
Yeah, and how nice to win your 500th game as well. You know, you want to win those landmark games, so lovely that he has. And here's to the next 500, because, you know, that it doesn't sound like an exaggeration to say that actually you could see that happening. He does seem to be very, very happy here. And whenever any opportunity has come up where you think, ooh dear, you know, he's remained our manager, which is fantastic, and long may that continue.
You were talking about chants. There was one starting about to the tune of the Proclaimers about I would watch 500 games, which I think the ending needed a bit of work, but it seemed to come across quite well. No,
I'm very impressed with that. That definitely, yes. Gareth, I would watch, or I have watched 500 games, and I would watch 500 more.
That's it. Yeah, you've got it. But more to the tune of the Proclaimers, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not going to do a Scottish accent in the way that I'm trying very hard not to do a Louisiana accent while I'm out here, rather.
No, you're doing very well at that as well.
Oh, good. Yes, okay.
No twang has been picked up yet.
No, definitely not. No, well, I tend to go the other way almost. I tend to be very, very British, so that actually, they hopefully they can understand what you're saying, because I think if you try and then copy them, they're just like, what on earth is that?
Of course, we're really gearing up now for the visit of the league leaders, though, which will, of course, be a real test on Saturday.
Yeah, really, really will. Fair play to Rotherham. They do look really good. Obviously, they are very much a yo-yo side in that they seem to have been in the a bit like doing the hokey cokey. They're either in the Championship or then they're in League One. But yeah, you know, they are doing exactly what you need to do to get back in the Championship. And you know, again, it's just a shame that we're not up there with them.
Excellent mention of the hokey cokey, by the way. I was thinking of the conga for some reason, but excellent, yeah. I mean, probably never ever has someone from America, or who's currently in America, mentioned the hokey cokey in quite such a deliberate way.
Very strangely, out here, it's known as the hokey pokey, which I think sounds a little bit dodgy, and that is true. I haven't made that up.
Great local knowledge. I also meant to ask as well, because you said you've been wearing your Wycombe top around the area. Tell us what you're wearing today.
So today I have my Wycombe top on, but it is actually a little bit chilly here. So I went to see the New Orleans Pelicans last night, who are the local basketball team. So I have my New Orleans Pelicans hoodie on at the moment. They didn't do very well. They lost to the Orlando Magic in a fairly empty stadium as well, which I don't really know why. And I will ask Rob Couhig a little bit about that. I was surprised. It was a bit like going along to an EFL trophy game.
Oh.
Yes. Well done to congratulations to Sutton United, by the way. Very impressive that they made to the final.
If you just tuned in, Bob really is in America.
I am, yes, honestly.
This isn't some sort of odd amateur dramatics thing. And next week on the show, we'll be hearing from Rob Couhig in his natural habitat.
Yes, very, very much looking forward to speaking to Rob and also speaking to Missy as well. We're on the subject of cups as well. Of course, this week we've heard that our Bucks and Bucks semi-final game against Ascot United will be being played on the 22nd of March, kicking off at 7:45pm, being played at Ascot's racecourse ground stadium, not the one in Wrexham, but the actual racecourse in Ascot, because they play right next door to it.
You've got some experience of their ground as well.
I have, yes. I have been along to see one of their games before. And it is very impressive and a little bit strange in that actually you are right there next to the racecourse. And if you look you're obviously you're not near one of the big stands or anything. You're sort of like, way out to where the horses would be sort of like almost as far away from the stand as they can possibly be. But you can then look back and see all of the bits of the Royal Ascot sort of like course, sort of like off in the distance. If you haven't been, it's definitely a ground worth going to. This
really is some sort of like travel show this week, isn't it?
It definitely is. Yeah, it's the new holiday show with Bob. Next week I'll be going on one of those PGL courses that you could go along to on your summer holidays.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers show this week, we'll hear from former goalkeeper Trevor Bunting. We'll catch up with Ian Horswell as well, who's the chief executive of Jersey Bulls. So many different countries covered this week here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers show, we'll speak to Bob again in America. We'll speak to Ian in Jersey. We'll speak to Gareth Ainsworth in Marlow Road, Booker, a little earlier on today. Not quite so glamorous there, is it? Well, it's very nice, obviously. Excellent facilities at the training ground. And we'll be previewing, obviously, the game against Rotherham, and we'll reflect on a bit of an anniversary today, 21 years ago, since that Leicester quarter-final, where Wycombe Wanderers reached the semi-finals. That's for Bob, of the FA Cup after that fantastic victory against Leicester. And we spoke to Andy Baird a few weeks ago, you'll recall. Speaking of former players, we had Colin Bunting on the show. His son Trevor, also a goalkeeper for the club in the 80s, a position which he started at the club at a very young age.
I'd been at Southampton since I was 11 and then was there 4 years and released when I was 14. And I was playing for the Wycombe District Schools. We were on quite a good run in the English Schools Gillette Trophy. And the Wycombe Wanderers manager at the time was Mike Keane. And he'd watched a couple of games. And he approached me and wanted me to come training. So that was where it started for me, really. I trained regularly with the first team. A guy called Timmy Anning was the reserve team manager, and Timmy wasn't afraid to blood very young players. We had a very young squad, but with experienced players as well. And I actually made my reserve debut when I was 15 years old, so that was where it really started. Timmy was manager for a couple of years there, where we won the Suburban League title. Unfortunately, Mike Keane left in that period, and Paul Bentz and Alan Gain took over, who were really good to me. They always kept me involved with the first team when they could, while I was playing for the reserves. I was between 84 and 85. I was loaned out to several clubs, including Abingdon Town, Burnham, and Slough Town. But I was always keen, to play for Wycombe if I could. But at the time, Gary Lester was the first team goalkeeper, who we sadly lost recently. So Gary was probably a 3 or 4 year period where he was probably the best keeper in the league. But Paul Bentz, he always kept me involved with the team. I went regularly to first team games if I wasn't playing for the reserves. And I was loaned out to Slough and came back to Wycombe pre-season 85-86. And that was when Slough came in for me and wanted to sign me permanently. Like I say, Gary was the first team goalkeeper, and there wasn't much chance of me getting in there because he was playing so well. That was when I transferred over to Slough Town. I had to sign. There was a window of about a week and a half, 2 weeks, before they had a really big FA Cup game. Second round of the FA Cup, we were playing away to Swansea City. So I had to get signed quickly to be able to be eligible for the game. So at the age of 18, that was probably one of the biggest games I'd ever played in, was away to Swansea City in the second round of the FA Cup. I think it was 5,000 people there. So it was a bit of sort of thrown in at the deep end, but it was something that I loved, and it was great. I had a good game, and I think I was man of the match, and it was just a great weekend away, although we lost, but it was a fantastic time. I mean, I always wanted to play for Wycombe. I'm born and bred Wycombe, and I wanted to play for, obviously, my local club, but the opportunity came along, so I had to take it, really, and I was there for 10 years at Slough and played 416 games, I think it was.
And obviously it must have been such a nice feeling as well, following your dad's gloves, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, without Dad's support over the years, I would have never got the opportunities I had. He was so supportive. Well, but Mum and Dad, they used to shepherd me everywhere, so I would have never got the opportunities if it wasn't for them. Yeah, I spent 10 years at Slough Town, and then I thought I was going to I wasn't going to retire, but I have a break from it. But then I got a phone call from the Windsor manager at the time, was Alan Davis, who he was at Slough Town as well when I first went there, and he asked me to do him a favour for a few games. I ended up going over there doing him a favour, but I ended up staying there for 7 years as well, and playing 250 games for them.
Oh, it's a fantastic career. You must look back with such pride on what you've achieved.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd have loved to have played more games for Wycombe, but things don't always work out the way you want them to. But that's football, isn't it?
And was it because of your dad that you became a goalkeeper in the first place?
I guess so. I mean, I used to didn't watch him at Wycombe, but he played for Molins Sports, and I always used to go and watch Dad play for Molins. But I used he used to train on a Thursday night, I used to go with him, and I'd go in goal in training. So, yeah, so I was sort of like thrown in. I did start off as an outfield player, but I broke my leg at a very young age, and so I decided to go in goal after that.
And I guess as well, there must be so many sort of standout occasions while you were at the club. I was looking through some newspaper articles which are very nice, and there were some things that really stand out, like obviously the friendly against Tottenham and Peter Shreves.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic, and that was when Paul Bentz was the manager. Like I said, he always kept me involved with the first team when he could, and we had a friendly against Tottenham over at Bisham Abbey. And I think Gary played the first half and I played the second. We got over there expecting to sort of like play against their second string, but it turned out that Peter Shreves, who was the manager at the time, he put out the whole first team. So we ended up playing against the likes of Ozzy Ardiles and Glenn Hoddle and Graham Roberts, Chris Hume, Ray Clements. So they all played.
Oh, that must be so memorable. And also a tour of Malta that you went on as well.
Yeah, I went on 3 tours with the club. Went to Malta, Portugal and Athens. Really memorable times. The players at the time really looked after me. I was so young, so I had to learn. I was sort of thrown in the deep end on and off the pitch, with some of the antics that went on off the pitch as well. But they really looked after me, the players like Anton Verkavs, Trevor Howe. Some great people to be around. And Bobby Dell, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, speaking to ex-players, which we're fortunate enough to do, it feels like kind of every kind of decade, each sort of team feels really special, and that kind of period. Was that something you felt whilst you were involved with the club?
Oh, definitely. I think they were Wycombe were progressing at the time. They'd won the Isthmian League and then progressed into what was called the Gola League then, which is the equivalent of the National League now. So it went from the Gola League to I think it changed to the Conference, and now it's the National. So, yeah, Wycombe were progressing.
And something else which must have been especially memorable in your career was being part of a Sunday sports team, which also included Bobby Moore and Emlyn Hughes.
Yeah, well, I was at Slough Town at the time, and I'd already played on the Saturday, and Alan Davis, who was manager at the time, he pulled me after the game and said, "Oh, do you fancy playing tomorrow?" I said, "Tomorrow?" And then he said, "Yeah, there's a charity game over here and they've invited a couple of the Slough players to play." So I said, "Fine, yeah." So got over there thinking, obviously, I was going to be playing in goal. Got into the change rooms. They had already got a goalkeeper. It was actually Graham Roop, who at the time was the England cricket wicket keeper. So he played in goal, and I ended up playing up front with Malcolm MacDonald, alongside, Emlyn Hughes was playing, and obviously it was a Bobby Moore 11, so Bobby Moore was playing as well, and it was something at the time you sort of took for granted, but when you look back on it, it's a memorable time, and something I'm glad my dad kept all the cuttings and programmes.
Oh, definitely.
All to look back on, yeah.
It must have been so nice as well for you to be sort of considered such a prospect as well. And I was reading that the QPR were among the sides that were interested in you when you were at Wycombe.
When I was at Wycombe, they came to watch a few games while I was playing for the reserves. And actually later on, they kept watching me. They offered me a YTS scheme there. A YTS scheme was replaced from the apprenticeship. Well, the apprenticeship used to be 2 years, whereas the YTS was only a year. And I'd already started college, and I thought it was more of a sensible decision to stay on at college that I'd started. That's just one of those things.
I guess it was quite sad for you in a way to be leaving the club, because I think there was you and a number of others that sort of left at the same time, wasn't there?
Exactly. I always hoped Wycombe would come back in for me, but obviously things happen. They progressed so much. The keeper that came in may have been Paul. I think it was Paul Hyde, and he was a very good keeper as well. I think he went on to play Football League, but they progressed so much. And although Slough, I think the year that Wycombe got promoted to the Football League, I do believe we finished third to them. So we pushed them that season, but unfortunately we didn't push on as much as they did. But it was a great experience.
Did it feel a bit strange in a way going to Slough? Because obviously people from Wycombe didn't seem to really have much fond feelings for Slough.
No, I know, but there was lots of links with the two clubs, because at the time when I went there, Alan Davis was the manager, and Mike Keane, he had links with Mike. That was Mike Keane's brother-in-law. So he'd already seen me and knew what I was about. And Alan was also I think he was the assistant with Mike at Wycombe. So there was that link with them, and several other players followed, actually, the likes of Kenny Wilson came to Slough. I think a lot of the Anton Verkovs, he came for a little while. Mark West, well, after a great period at Wycombe, he came to Slough. So there was a lot of players that actually came to Slough after their time at Wycombe.
And you mentioned Paul Hyde and Gary Lester, of course, and Wycombe seem to have had such a great record of top goalkeepers, don't they?
Oh yeah, ever since I was brought up with the names from the past, obviously with Dad. So I think John Maskell took over from Dad, and I think from that sort of period they were always renowned for having good goalkeepers. And that must be something you kind of look out for as well in sort of after your time at the club as well. Yeah, I always keep an eye on how Wycombe are doing. I mean, I coach at the Fab Football Academy where I coach young goalkeepers. So I'm always interested on how young goalkeepers are doing in the area. I've been doing that for the last 10 years, which has been great as well. So you're still locally based yourself? Oh yeah, locally based, yeah. And I spend my Saturdays, since retiring, packing up, I've spent my Saturdays watching my boys. So my son Sam, he was also a goalkeeper. He went to the Fab Football Academy, and my youngest son Callum, he's a centre forward. He went to the Fab Football Academy, and they've both had. Unfortunately, Sam doesn't play anymore because of injury, but Callum's playing at Binfield in the Isthmian Southern Central League. Oh, that's fantastic. And so nice to have 3 generations of goalkeepers as well. Yeah. Well, Sam actually had a short period at Wycombe as well as an under-14 when they had a youth team. But he done particularly well. After doing the Fab Academy, he was picked up by St Johnstone, and he couldn't have gone any further north. But yeah, he had a short period up there. And just finally, how do you look back at your time at the club? Oh, fond memories of Wycombe. Like I say, I was Wycombe born. I always wanted to play for the club. Just unfortunate that I didn't play more games for them. But fond people that I met, the likes of Brian Lee, who was chairman at the time. He was very good to me. And managers, Paul Bentz and Mike Keane. If it wasn't for them, I would have never got the opportunities I had. So some great memories. It just seems to be something quite unique, doesn't it? Football, that the dressing room and the players and the camaraderie and the relationship with your teammates, but also, as you say, managers as well. Yeah, definitely. It's always interesting to see where they are now and what they're doing. Some of obviously I get to meet a lot of the players who I played with at the golf days and other events that Alan and John organise for the ex-players, which is an absolute fantastic job what they're doing. They're doing a great job, and it's great for the older generation to still keep in touch with the players that they've played with in the past. It's great. I mean, I was brought up with all the sort of like Dad's era. I was brought up with all those names at the dinner table. The likes of Len Worley and Keith Samuels, all those names, and Tony Horseman, all the likes of those I was brought up with. I do remember when I was young, very young, I used to go with Dad over to Bisham Abbey, where an over 40s league was set up, and Wycombe had a team in that, and it was all ex-Wycombe players such as Tony Horseman, Keith Samuels, Dad, Barry Darville, Len Worley. They were all playing. It was a great time. Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound. Still to come on the final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show. More from Bob, who, if you've just tuned in, is in Louisiana. If you haven't tuned in, just tuned in. He's still in Louisiana, 6 hours behind. He doesn't know what's ahead of him. Also, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth, who we spoke to earlier this morning at the training ground. But first, you might have heard in the news that Jersey Bulls, who are the southernmost
team in English football are looking for a ground to play their home games at, whilst their ground is being refurbished. I think that's the correct expression. And they're coming to Adams Park next Saturday when we're coming away to Portsmouth. And I've caught up with their chief executive, Ian, who has the story behind, well, it.
Here in Jersey, our stadium, Springfield, it needed to have some improvements made to effectively meet the ground grading requirements that the FA League require for a team at our level and the level above. So what we're doing, we're having some work done on the ground that will make us, future-proof us for, several promotions into future, if that can obviously happen on the pitch. So sadly, because it's a government-owned facility, we couldn't control when the grounds works would be completed, and they need to be completed by the end of this month. So the diggers have come in, and I popped down to the stadium last night, and all the fences have now gone down. So everything's on track to be completed by the end of the month, which is super exciting. The downside was we had 3 home games that are due to be played in the month of March at home, and we couldn't obviously play them there. So, we discussed it at board level to understand, what our options could be, and we're very fortunate one of our board members is very close to the owners of Wycombe, and put in a polite request to Rob and Pete to see if there's any chance that Adams Park could be available to the Bulls for a home pitch, but obviously on the mainland. And we've been working with Pete and Neil at Wycombe, and they've been first class, and they've been able to help us on this occasion. We did look at maybe doing it more than one at Adams Park, but we've definitely got one. I think you guys are playing on the 26th, which will bat out, and we'll be home the following Saturday on the 2nd of April when our ground reopens. So it's hugely exciting. We've still got 2 games to play before we come to Adams Park, so the football focus is very much on Saturday, but it's going to be a huge opportunity to play at Adams Park.
So have there been any other challenges in sort of arranging it and obviously getting the team over here?
No, this is what we do every other week. So, we travel first thing in the morning on a Saturday. We get our minibuses to take us to whatever ground we're playing at. Obviously, we play the game. We literally have a short stay afterwards for a drink and some food afterwards, and then we head back to our airport and fly back to Jersey. So we always do it in and out of the day, apart from our midweek fixtures, which again the players take an afternoon off work and fly over, play our Tuesday night midweek game, and then fly back at 7:30 next morning and report straight back into work. So logistically, you're only 25 minutes from Heathrow Airport, so that works out quite well. We asked permission with the opposition if they were happy to travel to Adams Park, and it was obviously a yes from Banstead Athletic, and it's a great experience for both clubs that everyone's looking forward to.
Tell us a bit about how your season's going and what we can expect from the team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So our team are currently 3rd in the league. There's a very exciting 3-horse race for 2 promotion spots. And if we win our games in hand, then we would go into one of the automatic promotion spots. So it's a very big, important game for Jersey Bulls. Equally, it's an important game for Banstead Athletic, who are at the opposite end of the table, and they're looking for points to stay up. So both teams have got things to play for, so it's certainly not anything but a dead rubber. We appreciate Wycombe down at Pompey that day, and we've got our fingers crossed that they come back to Wycombe with 3 points, and it'll be amazing to see some Wycombe fans, if they can't get down to Portsmouth for whatever reason, if they could get to Adams Park and become a Bull for the day, then it'll be hugely appreciated.
And something really nice about raising the profile of your club as well, the southernmost club in English football.
Yes, that's correct. So we formed as a football club in 2018, and we started playing in 2019. We won all 31 games we played in the 2019-2020 season, and sadly COVID put paid to that season, whereby we'd won promotion after 27 league games. We won off 27. We were mathematically promoted on the 7th of March, and then we never played the following Saturday because of the pandemic. Now, it was back in the headlines then. We're the only team in, probably world football. You won every single game, won promotion, but it got taken away because of the pandemic, which was a really bitter pill to swallow. One that the club got over. We went again the following season, and again, due to COVID and the escalation of the the pandemic in the UK. We only managed to play 5 games. Again, we won all 5, and we were very fortunate that FA decided to reorganise the pyramid a little bit lower down, and that resulted in Jersey Bulls Football Club getting an upward movement. We would have loved to have won a title and had a trophy and medals and so on and so forth, but we were rewarded with an upward movement, which we delightfully accepted and moved into Step 5, the Tier 9 of the English Football League pyramid. And, we're on a 24-game unbeaten run in the league. We lost match day 1 to Beckenham, which they're currently one position above us and sort of in control of the league at the moment. And it was quite a surreal game that day. We hadn't played a football fixture for 10 months. We had no pre-season. So it was a real difficult game, and we went down 1-0 to one of the best teams of the league. So we've been sort of playing catch-up ever since. We're in 3rd at the moment, and we really need to keep winning to keep pressure on the top 2.
And it must be something the players are really looking forward to as well, playing a ground like Adams Park, and also the staff as well to experience the facilities as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. We were fortunate to visit another EFL ground earlier in the season at Sutton United. Now, obviously, Sutton United have only just moved up from National League to League 2, and we were playing their tenants, Sutton Common Rovers, in the FA Cup, and we managed to play on their new hybrid pitch twice in 4 or 5 days, which was, again, a really good experience for the players and the management. When players have been questioned at some of our sort of fans forum events, what's the best pitch they've played on, they've normally come back and said Gander Green Lane because of the beautiful pitch and hybrid. Now, to obviously play at Adams Park, that's super exciting. It's a large stadium, a lot larger than Gander Green Lane, and the guys are super excited. Now, Sutton United have just won through to Wembley actually this week, so could it be a good omen that Jersey Bulls play on a Football League ground, that the host team reach Wembley, and we'll certainly root for Wycombe throughout this season as well, and hopefully they can do the same.
And really nice for you to look forward to your new facilities as well.
Yeah, no, most definitely. For those people that don't know Jersey, our stadium was redeveloped in 2015, and it was, Football Foundation money that helped us with that, with this. And one of the stipulations was to put effectively a cage around our sort of 3G pitch, which doesn't make it the most pleasurable viewing. So at the moment, the cage has now been taken down. We're pushing back the fencing so we can actually have supporters behind the goals. We can have proper segregation. Turnstiles are being inserted. The screening goes around the outside perimeter of the ground. So therefore, you can walk through the public park that Springfield Stadium is in, and you don't see the pitch. That ticks all the boxes to play sort of higher level football. Because we've got a 1,000-seater stand at Springfield, so it's great for our supporters. We're averaging about 850 at the moment per game, and in obviously a Tier 9 league, which is the highest across Step 5, which is great. And we're looking forward to coming to Adams Park, and hopefully a few Wycombe fans will come out and support us, and we can have a similar sort of crowd. Yeah, and it's something that everybody involved, as you said, the management, the players, club officials, and for those people that cannot be over in person, we'll live stream the game back to Jersey so people can watch it back in the island. I'm
sure that some Wycombe fans as well will adopt Jersey Bulls' second team as well.
Yeah, we hope so. And these are the kind of things, it's relationship building, and, off the pitch as well, Wycombe are, they've really embraced technology, and that's something that we like to learn as much as we possibly can from, Pete and Neil and other people at the club. Everybody we're speaking to, obviously they're a professional club, so anything we can learn and raise our club, whether an extra 5 or 10% through whatever method or means, that's really, really valuable to us. So again, our match day announcer will be coming over, and he's using technology at Adams Park that we certainly don't have at Springfield. Again, there's a scoreboard. A scoreboard's something that we want to be putting in at Jersey. So there's all these little things that are just really good things that we can learn from the guys at Adams Park and take back as well.
The scoreboard is very impressive.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, and we just need a little bit of training on how we use it. We'll probably minimise it to goals and time, but obviously if there was a Wycombe goal down at Fratton Park, then we'd have to make sure that a goal alert flashes up on there somehow, and make sure our stadium announcer does announce any goals that Wycombe score down on the south coast. But yeah, no, it's again. we've developed relationships with other professional clubs because, they've come to Jersey and, had a pre-season game here and things like that. And, definitely the door is open to Gareth and the boys to come down to Jersey at some point in the future. And, some of the pro clubs that have brought fans down, they've said it's one of their best away days or pre-season matches they've had. So it'd be great to have Wycombe in Jersey at some point in the future as well. I'm sure that would go down well.
No, it sounds fantastic. Well, obviously, wish you all the best for next Saturday. I hope it's a great day and you get a great result as well, of course.
Well, yeah, no, fingers crossed. We're coming for 3 points. That's the target, and it's really been a pleasure to speak to you, and thanks for having us on.
Ian Horswell, who's the Chief Executive of Jersey Bulls, who will be playing at Adams Park next Saturday, speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound. Someone who'll be playing at Adams Park this Saturday, though, is Wycombe boss Gareth Ainsworth. He'll be leading his side, looking for 3 straight wins. Spoke to him earlier on today after, 2 straight wins. And you might recall he said on last week's show that you're only as good as your next game.
I'm really proud of the boys, the way they've applied themselves in the last 2 games to sort of get back on track, if it were. I know the expectation level's been risen here massively. So beating Crewe in Cambridge is getting back on track. That's great for us. But we've got the next game now, and it's true to my statement, all I'm thinking about now is how we're going to beat Rotherham on Saturday. But we do review the games, and Matt Bloomfield does a brilliant presentation every Monday or Tuesday with the boys and goes through, he clips the game afterwards. He spends the weekend clipping the game, good and bad bits. And just awesome to reflect and to see the good, the bad, and then again improve for Saturday, which will be a total different test. But it's brilliant to get the 6 points out of the last 2 games, and believe me, we needed them. You look at the results now, and it's getting really to the business end of the season, which is where we want to be. We know where we want to end up, and we know what it's going to take. So really, really pleased to be back to winning ways.
How's Ryan been after his injury?
Yeah, Ryan's okay. It was a suspected concussion, and I think he had a problem with his ear. I haven't got the details totally, but I know that he was very unsteady on the pitch. But obviously, your ear it gives a lot of balance issues, and I think Josh Scowen had something very similar earlier in the season. But Ryan, I think we'll have to look at him and follow his protocol. But he's up and about, which was great. To lose him would be a big blow. But we'll see whether we can include him on Saturday or not.
And really good for Lewis to get 2 goals on Saturday, his first since arriving at the club, and that really bodes well for the challenge that awaits on Saturday as well.
Yeah, Lewis played for Rotherham last year in the Championship, so I know all about him. But I've always known that he's got that ability to score from range, and when you pick it up on the edge of the box, the fans obviously know it because they're always screaming shoot at him. But I'm sure he's going to take a few more shots now after that first goal. It was a brilliant one, but the second one under his feet was just as good a finish, and he's a midfielder who scores goals, which are a great commodity to have. I've spoke about what I want to work with him personally on, and we're going to work on stuff like that. But going forward and shooting from the edge of the box, there's nobody better. He puts some serious whip and dip on the ball, when he hits it, and keepers, very, very often get beat by Louis Swing's strikes. It's just getting him around the edge of the box and getting him on the ball. But he's played some great play in some of our build-up on Saturday, and I think first half we played some of the best stuff we've played for a long time going forward. And Lewis, Darryl, Gareth, Jason, and it's all at the heart of it there. That right-hand side seems to be going really, like clockwork. Down the left, it was a little, I think, more slim pickings at pitch as much as anything. Crewe have this massive stand that shades one side of the pitch, which honestly, one side's like a beach and one side's like Wembley, and it's a real tough one to get used to. But I thought first half we were very good going forward, and if we can replicate that sort of intensity against Rotherham, which we're going to need to do, then it'll bode well for the game.
It does set things up really nicely for Saturday too, the top teams in the division.
Yeah, it's a big game, obviously. Two of the probably billed as the most physical teams in the division as well. As I keep saying, I'm not sure about us anymore compared to what we used to be, but people keep billing us as this big, heavy physical side. We'll have to start some challenges on Saturday, believe me, because Rotherham are you know, the leaders for a reason. They're very functional. They've got a good manager. You know, they like to get the ball forward into Smith. They put plenty of crosses into the box. You know, all these things that we're aware of. We're going to have to look out for, manage, and impose some of our stuff on Rotherham as well. So, been here before, and I think we've had a decent record against Rotherham in recent years. So, I'm looking forward to the game.
I was going to say, if anyone knows how to beat Rotherham at Adams Park, it's yourself. I understand you got the winner last time it happened.
I can't remember, but yeah, that's great. It's a game that obviously it means a lot to everyone, and it's going to be pivotal going into these last 9. But as I always say, you know, going on past glories is not something I'll do. It's the next game, and the next game is Rotherham, and it's a Rotherham side that have been Championship, you know, twice over the last 3 years, and they want to get back there as well. So we're really looking forward to the game, as always, just getting all the boys fit and mentally prepared. We'll do a video this morning on them, and then, you know, we'll work hard on some of the little bits that we think will hurt Rotherham, but also be very aware of what's coming, because they've scored more goals than most teams in the 4 divisions, never mind, and conceded the least, I think, in the Football League. I think they've got a record at the moment, so there's all sorts of records to be broken, and Adams Park usually comes up trumps on a Saturday afternoon.
Does it feel like it's really the sort of business end of the season now, kind of the last 10 games?
It's gone really quick, and it always does after Christmas. You know, that's why you've got to keep your consistency throughout the season, and always everyone's going to have a little blip and the little draws here, and the 4 draws that really they're the ones I look at and think, you know, the defeat's almost you take on the chin and you think, yeah, better team won today, but the draws really were the ones, and 2 or 4 more points here and there would make a big difference. We're going to have to make them up in the last 10 now, and I'm forward to it, but yeah, it's come very quick, and with me this last 6 weeks, it goes like a train. We'll have to be ready and be very, very rotational in the squad, I'm sure, because we've got Saturday, Tuesdays, Easter weekend, right up to that last bit, and I'm hoping there's either 10 games in a celebration or there's 13 games in a celebration. One of those will do me.
Do you set sort of targets as to points you'd like to achieve or games you'd like to win in that remainder of the season?
It's dangerous sometimes, games you want to win, because if you don't win them, you know, you don't want a massive downer. We keep a tally, you know, Double keeps a tally of where we are and what form we're on. And Josh Hart, obviously our analyst, has been fantastic this year. You know, again, it's just been great with all the stats and the stuff that comes through. So yeah, really good.
And just finally, I see this week that you spent some time with Eddie Jones, the England rugby union head coach. That must have been a fantastic opportunity to get some tips from him.
Yeah, real good experience. You know, very lucky to be able to do things like that. And Eddie was brilliant. You know, a good 40 minutes with him after training, and insight into his world and how he works and what he does, and always learning. You know, you've always got to take things from everyone, and the sports are different, but the actual methodology is very similar. And yeah, it was brilliant. I'll definitely be watching the England-Ireland game at the weekend and catching up with bits. But I've got one of my own games to get on first, and I wish Eddie all the best and thank him for his hospitality. But hopefully it'll be rub off with a Rotherham victory and a win over Rotherham and an England victory as well. That'd be very nice.
Great to hear from Gareth and also from Ian Horswell as well. Just to give you the information about the Jersey Bulls game, if you're not going to see Wycombe away at Portsmouth on the 19th of March, and you are in the Wycombe area, then you can go along to Adams Park to watch Jersey Bulls playing Banstead Athletic. That game kicking off at 3 p.m.
As you said, it might be a really nice opportunity for people to make Jersey their second team.
Yeah, exactly. It's another one of those teams that we will be forever linked with, and really nice to see that actually, that we are loaning them our stadium. The game being played in the Cherry Red Records Combined Counties Football League Premier Division South. Yes, it really is that long a title. Jersey doing well currently, sitting third in the table, whereas Banstead are currently 19th.
I'm glad they're not mentioning the Class 5 football results. I'd never get all that and have breath for the rest of the fixtures.
Yeah, it does come sort of something where actually, the league title is that long. It should be, the longest thing in the classified check should be Queen of the South, really.
Absolutely. Then you know you're near the end as well. Really great to chat to Dave Ward recently as well on the show, and Wycombe Wanderers win season finally coming to an end this weekend as well.
Yes, so they rearranged the game away to that team that sound like an ice hockey outfit, but aren't actually the Winchester City Flyers. They will be away to them this Sunday with a 2 p.m. kickoff.
And of course, today, the 10th of March, is a bit special as well, because it's 21 years since that Leicester quarter-final. I'm
quite impressed that we managed to get the whole way through the programme without mentioning that. Yes, happy Roy Essendon Day, as I think of it. And it's amazing that it's 21 years ago, because I can still see all of the images in my mind now. I can see Essendon leaping up to head in the goal. Laurie Sanchez, of course, watching on the monitor because he'd already then been sent off, and then running back out onto the pitch. And then fantastically, because if you remember, I think it was Mark Lawrenson who was very, very dismissive of any chance that Wycombe had of beating Leicester. And so Laurie Sanchez went along and actually was in the Match of the Day studio for the edition that night, which was a really, really nice thing to do. And yes, I think Mark Lawrenson was probably slightly squirming as Laurie sat there grinning next to him.
No, definitely. And of course, we had Andy Baird on the show recently who was saying, it was such a strange time because they were so short on forwards, which of course is why the appeal went out on either CFAX or Teletext, whichever version, or perhaps both, depending on which version you read. But yeah, Roy Essendon seemed to literally come from nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, just a whole incredible story. And as that game approached, we had more and more injuries. So actually, you were wondering very much, who on earth is going to play? And of course, when he scored, people were really thinking, well, who is this guy? He will be always forever linked with Wycombe Wanderers, even though he only played for us a few times.
No, absolutely. A real cult hero. I mean, so many sort of cult heroes at clubs, especially at Wycombe as well, but very nice to have that link. And obviously the game that went on to lead to as well with that semi-final against Liverpool at Villa Park.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole thing, I know that the whole thing has been written up into a book. So there's the Small Town Dreams book, which is all based around Wycombe's cup run that year. But really, actually, it could be turned into a Hollywood film. Really, the fact that we managed to then get past Leicester and, did so well against Liverpool as well. You have to remember that Liverpool were flying at that time. And, they won all of the cups basically that season. And we managed to score against them when actually other teams such as Barcelona didn't manage it.
No, it sounds fantastic. Really great to be able to sort of make memories, and who knows what's still to come on the remainder of this season as well. Don't forget, on next week's show, Bob will be reliving his Louisiana experience, tasting the food, seeing the sights, smelling the smells, and chatting to Rob and hopefully Missy Kuig as well. There's the chance that you could get to go to the bookshop a bit later on as well, the hallowed bookshop.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. And of course, I'm looking forward to meeting the Higgs dogs as well and finding out whether or not they wear Wycombe Wanderers dog leads.
You've got to hope so, haven't you?
You would think so, yes. Or dog leashes, as they're probably called here.
Yes, good local knowledge there as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah.
And we'll speak to you next week.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. Go Pelicans, as they say over here.